All right, hello and welcome everyone to this week's Piggyback Blog webinar. This week we will be covering analytics and traffic. Essentially, this is going to be the stuff that lets you know what's actually happening on that website of yours that you've got going. It's all about seeing what's actually happening to it. So this webinar is going to be recorded, so if you find that you do need to leave during the webinar, that's okay. After the webinar, you will receive an email that has the recording within it so that you can watch it at your leisure. If you have any questions, we're going to hold them to the end, and I will answer them all once I've gotten through all the data that I've got prepared for you so far today. Okay, so as always, I am Tracy, and I'm the Success Coordinator here at Brandco, and I'm here to help your business succeed. So if you have questions, any concerns or things that you need help with in completing, your purpose and your drive for your website, let me know, and we'll see what we can do to get you going. Also, if you've lost that motivation, talk to me. I'm sure there's something that I can provide you or make something a little bit easier for you so that you can get over that hump and ready to get going with your website again. All right, so what are analytics? Essentially, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So here's the definition. Analytics is the discovery and communication of meaningful patterns in data. Analytics often favor visual data representation and communication insight. All right, so that sounds like a bunch of hoopla and like very technical stuff. So let's make it something we can actually understand. Essentially, analytics are that digestible way to take in that information that your website's gathering, that data and the stats, all that stuff at that website that's happening behind the scenes that you don't get to see otherwise. Analytics is to look at that. And that's how you know what kind of effect your website's actually having and how you can improve and make things even better than they already are. So that's essentially what analytics is and what we're talking about today for. So what do you use currently for your traffic updates? Like, how do you know what your traffic is? Do you use Jetpack? Do you use Google Analytics? Do you use Clicky? Do you use something else, or do you use nothing at all? I've only got 13% of the votes, so let's try to get it above 50 before I'll finish the poll. 38 so far. So far, we're seeing a lot of people saying that they don't use anything, and then the other majority are using Google Analytics, which is great because that's really what I wanted to cover today. I don't know a lot about Clicky myself, but it's not something I personally use. And Jetpack is the easiest thing you can activate, and we're going to go over both Google Analytics and Jetpack today. So 75% of the vote coming in is 50-50 nothing versus 50% saying they use Google Analytics. So that's great. We've got people in here with a little bit of background on Google Analytics and some that are just here and ready to learn, and I love it. All right, so I'm going to go over some preferred analytic providers. And these are the two that I'm going to cover mostly in this webinar, and they're because those are the ones that I use, so I know the most about them. And, I bring a lot of my personal journey into most of these webinars because I learn from doing and reading and researching, and then that's what I want to bring to you. So what I personally recommend and use are Google Analytics and Jetpack. I use them both together. Now, some pros to Google Analytics is the fact that it's free. Of course, there are paid versions, as is with anything that is free on the internet these days. It's extremely robust. You're going to get a lot of information, which can also be a con because sometimes too much information can become overwhelming. Google Analytics can be used in both Piggyback Blog, eAgency, and Playster. And there's an app if you wanted to follow it all the time. However, I wouldn't say it's something that you need to look at every single day. So Jetpack, on the other side of this, is also free. It's a plugin that you can utilize inside of your Piggyback blog. It's very simplistic and very straightforward, very digestible information. The cons are that it's limited to kind of the amount of data that you're getting. So that's why it's highly digestible, but it's something that's not going to be available inside of Play Store, and if you have e-agency, it's not going to track it. It's currently only for the blog because it's a build off of a WordPress.com. Okay, so let's go into each one. We're going to start off with Google Analytics, which seems to be one of the crowd favorites around here, which is great. And if you have any insights into what I'm going to be going over and you know a little bit more than me as far as Google Analytics, then by all means speak up and I'll be sure to add whatever you've shared with me to the webinar, okay? A little bit about Google Analytics. Google Analytics is a freemium, just like I said, it's free, but there's also premium upgrades. Web analytics service powered by Google. It tracks and reports website traffic, which is, the analytic thing. We know what that is now, right? It is the most widely used web analytics service on the internet. So, which is kind of hand in hand with the fact that Google is the most used search engine on the internet. So why not expect that their data tracking would be awesome? So the setup process for Google Analytics is quite straightforward. It's the after part that can be a little bit confusing, the keeping up with it and looking at it and understanding what in the world all that data means that you're getting. When you're adding a domain into Google Analytics, you want to include just the domain .com or .net. You don't want to put in the www because then you're limiting what your results are going to be giving you. And if you're someone that's running off of eAgency and has a piggyback blog, then you're already probably utilizing www.domain.com, search.domain.com, and blog.domain.com, which is fine for your Google, search results because it's pulling that domain and it cares about the domain, not so much about the subdomain, which one it is or not. But if you put in just www.domain.com inside of Google Analytics, it's only going to track that one URL. It's not going to do the entire domain. And it's going to generate and give you something called a UA code, and that's pretty much all you're going to need in order to put it into action in all the places that you need to. And the big thing there is I know that they're also going to give you HTML code and say, oh, add this to the header, but because all these places know that this UA code is available, they're usually just going to ask for that, and then they take over from there. Okay, so I'm going to walk through how to go in and add in a domain, go into an account on Google Analytics and all that kind of stuff, and show you from that area. Okay, so let me switch over to my other browser. Okie doke. So this is Google Analytics. Sometimes I forget what the URL is, so I just type into Google Analytics, which should be pretty easy. You should just be able to do that yourself as well if you ever forget where to go for it. It does require that you have a Google account, which if you are on the internet at all, it's not uncommon that you would have one of those. To log in, you would just click Sign In and Google Analytics. Now, if you do not have an account, you would still go the same kind of way, and it would say create an account. Once you're in, now because our Brandco account has multiple accounts within it, you can see that it has a list whenever you're entering. Up here at the top, you see Home, Reporting, Customization, Admin. So I'm going to create a new account. Like this is what it would look like if you were creating a new one and adding a new thing. So this is essentially what you are presented with when you want to start tracking your website's data. So the account name, this is essentially what that folder is going to be named. So like this here versus this. So you can name this section whatever you want if you're going to track multiple things within it. So you can say real estate website. And then the name of that actual website. So this is the name of the folder, this is the name of the website. I'm going to still have Brandco.com just so it can give me, let me put something else so I don't mess up any kind of data. Okay, so putting the address, oh, I don't need to put .com on there, so Tracy Adams. And then the website address is www.tracyrr. Well, we don't want to add the www, tracyradams.com. So essentially those are the things you really need to fill in. We're going to say this is, you put in your category. There is one for real estate. You put in your reporting time zone, so whatever time zone you are within. And I pretty much just leave all this information here and then click Get Tracking ID. Of course, you got terms of service that you have to go through, and then you're presented with this page. Now, a lot of people will try to send me this and tell me that it needs to be added to the information, or they'll try to send me this. And really all you need is this guy right here, the UA code that you're given. This is the identifier for the account inside of Google Analytics. So what do we do with it? There's a couple of places where you can put this. So I'm going to show you on eAgency, if your site is still on eAgency, and I'll show you if your site is fully on Piggyback blog, okay? I don't have a place for your sites where I can show you where it goes in there, but I'm almost positive it is within the domain area or within site setup. You can add it inside of there. All right, so this is my UA code. I would copy it and go to the other locations that I need to. So I have this open in another browser. Okay, so this is eAgency. We would click here to get to this page here. Inside of eAgency, in section 2.4 is where you're able to do all your website data and information. Inside here, there's a search engine optimization section. You would put your Google Analytics tracking ID, your UA code here, and then click Save. And then that will automatically track everything on your eAgency website. However, if you have a piggyback blog, you're going to have to do a little something extra to make it pull over to that. And that would be to go under Appearance, eAgency, and then click Refresh. What Refresh does is if you've made any changes or anything like that inside of your eAgency website, namely like your menu or like what we just did, we technically added something to the code in the back end of the website. It's going to bring all that over to the blog, so then both are tracked, okay? Now, if you have your entire website now on Piggyback blogs, you can go under Plugins, scroll down. There's a plugin in here called Google Analytics. You'll activate it, and you'll see it somewhere under Settings, Google Analytics, and it wants the UA code there. And then click Save, and then it tracks everything inside of it. Inside of Playster, it's just going to ask for the UA code as well. And don't expect that you're going to have data inside of your Google account right off the bat. It takes a while, I would say up to a week, for it to start compiling that data. It's not going to backtrack and give you information from before it was added to those websites, because it can't predict or see back into the past to see what had happened. It's only going to start from then on. So let me go in here. I want to show you, like once you go into Google, you're able to see that there's a couple of important paths that you can take inside of here. I have them on a slide so you're able to see them, but I'll get back to that in a second. So you can, it's downloadable in the PDF inside of the handout section here. This is the go-to way to access the information. So I'm going to go ahead and use an account we've had set up already for Select Horse Farms, and this is in Ocala, I believe. And first off, we want to check a couple of different things. This is the interior area. This is the reporting section of your website for Google Analytics. There's a lot of information inside here. As you can see, there's an option for every single section. Now, don't be overwhelmed. I'm going to give you these paths, and these are very important parameters. And if they're important enough that you want to keep an eye on them, you can set them up inside of your dashboard and have that quick view option to just see that information every time. All right, so first off, I'm going to talk about a website's bounce rate. A bounce rate essentially is if someone goes to your website, decides they don't really want to be on it, or that they're not maintaining their visit, they just leave, that's a bounce. You don't want bounces, you want people to stay. That's why we try to encourage things like click-through or easy to follow navigations and things like that. So in order to check your website's bounce rate, it would be under behavior, site content, landing pages, and then you can see the bounce rate here. So some of these are having a 100% bounce rate, which means that, you know, people are landing on it and bouncing right off of it. However, let's scoot it back 0%. You want to have less than 80 usually on your bounce rates. A lot of these are listings that we're seeing here. Now, I want to, in the future, have an additional webinar that's specifically on reading the data inside of Google Analytics, and I will be able to answer every single question you have to throw at me, because by then I'm going to be certified, hopefully, and know anything that you have a question for. But all this information is underneath behavior. You can see a lot of different information inside of here. If you want to see sessions, how many times people have visited this page or that page. It's a little bit interesting whenever it comes to listings specifically, because you're seeing a little bit of different information. If we go back into overview, it's going to give us like the best, like this specific page is doing really awesome. It's got the most page views of any other one. 10% of the page views go here. You can do this by page title and see the information and which pages are most popular from there as well. All right, to see where your site's traffic is coming from, essentially this is your refer section. So you can tell where the traffic is coming from, so you know what to improve upon. So it would be under acquisition, all traffic, channels, and then you can pay attention to the referrals down here too. So DuckDuckGo, Facebook, Uptime, KW.com, Search. This is where most of the website traffic is coming from. Channels, we'll divide them into specifics, like this is paid search, referral, direct, organic search, or social. And these are showing us just today, so let's open this up and look for a month. So that's a little bit bigger numbers. And then additionally, on top of that, who is actually visiting your site, what browsers are they using, states, etc. That would be through the audience. And then you can go under overview. You can see which countries most people are coming from, the languages that they're using. You should be able to see browsers as well. Yep, browser. Majority of people are using Chrome. Operating systems, mostly Windows. Service provider, you can see if they're using Verizon or Comcast. If they're using mobile, you can see if it's Android or iPhones, or if they're using Sprint or AT&T, and what their screen resolution is. So you can see specifically whether or not they're being, you're coming, and of course a lot of people are coming from mobile now, which is why responsive designs are very, very important. So those paths are available inside of my screen. Let me get to it. Apparently I'm having a hard time. Okay, can you see my Google Analytics slideshow again? Making sure you're paying attention. The important paths are all laid out here. So if you go through this webinar again, I did write them out so that you can have them. I have them specifically notated myself because of a lesson that Ken taught us when it came to Google Analytics. The entire team of us, so we were a little bit more informed. All right, so Jetpack. Jetpack's a lot easier. So if your mind was a little bit blown with Google Analytics, I'd just suggest go ahead and setting it up, and then forgetting about it for a little bit, and then coming back to it, and then you've got data to look at and play with and get informed off of. So Jetpack. Jetpack stats lets you know how many visits your site is getting and what pages and posts are most popular. There are a lot of plugins that do this, but this one's very, very, very straightforward. I like it because it's like, I don't know, it's just really simplistic and I don't have to go anywhere to see it. It's all like kind of right there and ready to use. Um, as I said earlier, the cons of this is that it's literally just for WordPress sites, and this excludes Placer because they do not have the ability for us to add that plugin in place as of now. I don't know if they're going to in the future or anything like that, but in Piggyback Blogs we have it already installed. You just have to activate it and get it working. Okay, so the setup process for Jetpack is that you have to activate the plugin. You'll need an account from WordPress.com. This is different than your Piggyback blog login. So if you've never used WordPress.com, go ahead and just click the button that says need an account ? Because you do. And then after that, you'll have to confirm an email because it'll send you an email like, is this you? And you go yes, and then you approve. After that, the stats area automatically sets up and it's already running inside your dashboard, which is what you're greeted with whenever you log into your Piggyback blog. Ta-da, and it's done. One of the main reasons why it's awesome. So let's go back into the dashboard. This is our Piggyback blog dashboard, and we'll have to go in and click to activate the plugin. So I click on plugins and click activate for Jetpack, and we'll be greeted with this green banner that says connect to WordPress.com. So if we click on it, it's going to have us log in. I'm already logged into my WordPress account because I'm going to show you some stuff inside of it. And you just click approve, and then you're connected. Stats is something that's automatically connected. There is this thing here that says activate site management, activate now. So don't be confused that this is here. You're already activated and ready to go. And stats is something that's already activated like by default whenever you set this up. WordPress.com stats. And if you go to dashboard and scroll down, you'll see where those stats are. So there's none in here right now. Any of these blocks on your dashboard that you want to see and use more of, like we have your refresh button here, and we've got tutorials in here. You can drag and drop any of these if you find something to be more important than another. Get rid of it. If it's something you don't find useful when you first log into your Piggyback blog, then move some stuff around. So the reason why I have my WordPress open, I'm going to show you some data from one of my personal websites because we don't have it on Branco.com for me to show you there, just so you can see Jetpack in action and what it looks like whenever you have all that data to see. So this is one of my websites. I'm not going to get into what it is and all that kind of stuff, but you can see here that I have data here on all the days for the past 30 days as to which days have been the best. I've got 76 views on Tuesday, and you can see what the top posts are right now, I think for today specifically, and how many views each one has gotten. So I can know which ones are going really well, and then it'll also show me the top searches. So it's like how to make Ariel's pink dress, and people are finding me because they're doing that search. Yes, I make costumes on the side, and that's what this website's about. So if I wanted to find out more about that, you can click on any of these days to specifically get that data, or you can click the View All button here, and then take into a different area inside of your blog here to give you even more. And these are my top posts, top search engines, top refers for today or yesterday, blog followers, things like that. If I go to press.com, I'll get even more data, and you can get to it by clicking Show Me, and it'll take you, here, let me do Show Me, and it'll take me to the area that I want to be in. So this is my insight. I can see kind of like a breakdown in a very digestible manner, like, all right, Tuesdays are really popular at 1 p.m. Or, these are the most comments that I've gotten. Publicize has been using Facebook These are my days over the past year. I can look at my information by days, weeks, months, or years, so I can break it down and see. If I look over the years, this year so far I've got 1,200 views versus last year, which had 4,400. The pages and posts that got the most views in 2016, what countries they've come from, the referrers, things that have been clicked inside of those posts, and what search terms have been used this year for me to be found by, which is that's super easy to find and look through. That's one of the reasons why I use both, because one day I'm going to know a lot about Google Analytics, and I'm just going to be able to use that as my masterpiece and be able to make monumental changes that are going to be really awesome for my website. But for right now, this is my way of getting that digestible information to continue bettering my website. So this is why I suggest going ahead and setting up Google Analytics so that data is tracked. But if you want straightforward, easy to digest information that you don't really have to educate yourself in order to be able to understand, this is what I suggest. The Jetpack is really awesome to use. So let me go back to my screen over here. And then on top of those, there are others. In the past, I was asked a lot about a company called Clicky. Google Hootsuite, I do believe they have an analytic set up as well that will analyze your social media networks and things like that. I believe you can also add social media networks into your Google Analytics as well. I've never done it myself, but because all the social media networks also give you insights in their own ways. There's so many ways to get data these days. There's so much data in the world, it's insane. What people can end up doing with it is crazy. All right, so does anyone have any questions? I'm sure there's got to be, and I'm sure it's all been a little bit over your head, but luckily this is recorded so you can rewatch this as many times as you need to. And any questions that may come up to you next time you watch it, just feel free to go ahead and send that message to me. Now, if you have questions, go ahead and hit me with them now. If not, I'm just going to keep talking for a little bit. Google Analytics is really important, and Jetpack's really important. The main thing is that you just need to know what's actually happening with your website in order for your website to continue to be successful. Now, SEO and writing blog posts and all that stuff's great, and looking at your number of pages that are indexed, that's awesome too. But, I mean, you got to know if people are visiting it. And that's what any kind of analytical data or website or anything like that's going to do for you. It's going to say, these people are actually visiting it. This is how many times it's been visited. This is how long someone's staying on that page. It kind of gives you that opportunity to say, all right, this page isn't doing really well. I wonder what the problem could be, because does it not look good enough? Is the information not appealing? Is it not displayed in an appealing manner? So that way you're able to go in and make some changes to that specific page, give it another month, and then see if it made an impact and if it changed the bounce rate or anything like that. If more people tend to visit it because of it. And then you also have to remember to always try to share any of your content anywhere you can. And the more often you keep people on your website, the lower your bounce rate is going to be. So if you're sending people to other places for other information, rather than providing it as your information, and by that I mean not copying and pasting their info and making it look like yours, but providing the info in your words, summarized, and then citing them as more information. That's what you want to do. You want to keep people on your site. You don't want them to leave, because the more often they leave, the higher your bounce rates are. And you'll understand, more importantly, that bounce rates the thing that's most important to try to get down, because you want people to stay on the site. More click-through, more appealing data and things like that is what's going to help. All right, so it looks like nobody really has any questions, and I'm afraid that the problem is that it's just kind of too much data too fast, and that's why I'm going to be sure that whenever I send out the webinar recording this time, that I want everyone to be able to schedule an appointment with me if you have any additional questions, okay? As always, thank you for attending, and I hope you have a great time blogging and that you're enjoying these and learning more every week. You can always contact me at Tracy, Tracy, at brandco.com, or you can call me at 407-999-0009 extension 115. An appointment is always the best way. That way I can have my focus all on you and your questions, and we're not going to be in any kind of rush. And you can schedule an appointment anytime at Calendly, calendly.com/brand bco_Tracy. All right. Well, thanks again, guys. And then next week we'll be talking in full about Jetpack, which, as you can tell, I'm a big fan of. So I'll see you again next week.